who has a challenge for the night? We're all afraid. Yes. Don't be scared. Yeah, but the captains are surrounded as well. There you go.
Probably I misunderstood the questions. But we are already as enterprise and we are based on start to finish at the University of Amsterdam. What we are working on, because I've been in data science and machine learning, artificial intelligence for many, many years, and all those promises. So what I've learned is that if you look to data, it takes a lot of time, and most of the time you will miss the context. Because simply, right, we cannot be domain specialists. Oh, just give me the data. One day it's an aviation engine, next day is computer vision. So what things that I've seen and learned from in the industry is where's the context, and most of the time the context is in engineering models, in architecture models. So one of the things that we have been working on is how do you combine the context together with the data? Right? How do you combine, and I've heard some background in robotics, for example, how do you combine architecture models? I don't know if people are aware of what architecture means. Right? Typically it's a process, you have the process, you have the application, you have the infrastructure. If it's an enterprise architecture, if it's a system architecture, you will have the machine. Right? So how do you combine that context that already exists together with the data, sometimes in real time, sometimes already stored, and that apply artificial intelligence on it, and machine learning.
Could you give us an example of a context together with the data?
Okay, example is take a manufacturing plant. Okay, if you look, imagine, right, a manufacturing plant, it produces, let's take let's not make it too difficult, automotive manufacturing plant. To make a product, you have machines there, you have a process, but besides data, there's a lot of other things. People work with processes, right? Then you have machines to combine things. Then you have applications, because something needs to tell the machines what to do. So how do you capture that? Typically you capture that in building architecture models. Some companies have called it digital twins, where they only focus on the assets, right? But if you also use the architecture of the applications, you also use the architecture of the processes, you can build multiple digital twins. Now you combine it with the data. Is that it? Or is it not? Yeah. Okay. You see? Because you have the context of what is happening now, captured, and you have the data. And we have run some use cases with some customers, and what we have seen there is that you bring in the whole data analytics down to almost 70%. Other thing, what we have also seen is typically you have a lot of, you have data scientists here, and you go work for Daimler, or you go work for ASML, right, the company that makes this nice wafer machines. And what you will see is you will need more than 5 years before you start understanding the domain. So you got the data and you don't have a clue what these machines are doing, because the knowledge of what is happening is in another environment, right? So what I've seen there is you're adding data scientists that you cannot get, and you're adding them, and the productivity of those people are quite low. And if you want to get it higher, you need to take the very experienced people their time to get the juniors or the people that are coming into the business to bring them up to speed. Okay, so we've seen several challenges, and from our company side, is how could we speed up the use cases and applying it?
Anyone have an answer? Yeah. Multiple people.
I think automating the data part is
Sorry?
automating the data part is not that difficult because already work is being done to get data science as a service. So if you know your domain, you can give it data and it figures out which is the best which has the best P for your case.
But how? Because I know your background, right? But data has all the semantics and syntaxes that architecture models.
Yes.
So you need to have a way how to link those.
Yeah, just more as a general thing, I think that the days of having like digital and data in like a separate corner of the organization, I think are gone. So all of us are making data and are working with data and are working more digital. So I think that, of course you need to have like the process knowledge and things like that, but I think that if you are an organization moving towards a new way of working, then you already are doing that. Because you would have multidisciplinary teams with people from the business, from data, who work with data scientists and things like that, to get like that holistic view. Because I do agree that you need to have an overall view of the process and everything that's going on, and not just focus purely on data. So I think it requires a completely different way of working in a lot of organizations.
Clear answers?
Sorry?
Clear answers?
Yes. Yeah.
One more.
One other route you could consider is, I've been to the Augmented Reality, Virtual Reality Association launch a couple of weeks ago, and what you see there is that more and more companies are starting to use AR and VR to model, 3D model everything there is. So the examples you mentioned, like the automotive industry, everything is designed in the beginning already, so you have the 3D model with data and whole concept, but it's also used to train the engineers on how to repair things on these models. So that is also producing data. So it might be interesting if you're looking for something that is digital, that is already using models, is looking at which company, if they're already using their technology to train engineers with VR and AR, that's producing this interesting data set to help you train whatever it is you want to do with the data.
No, I fully understand. But just not offended, right? But has anyone ever rolled out an application? I mean, everybody talks about data application, but have you ever rolled out and implemented, right, and take it operational in an organization that have 100 plants over the world, right? So of course, there's a lot of augmented things going on, proof of concept, but how do you apply it? How do you secure the whole data management validation that with all the plants, right? So that is a big challenge. I don't know if anybody has experience in rolling out an application through multiple plants. Big challenge.
Anyone experienced in rolling out something machine learning over a large... Oh. Okay, well, that will be expensive for Watson.
No, well, I think I've used my time already, but it's very interesting. You know, if we have a slider, and then you have these traditional approaches that and the challenges you have, and then on the other hand you have this general AI that you want one equation, one algorithm to solve all your problems. Okay, we're quite far away from that, but there are specific areas into machine learning that are great at doing that without having experience or domain expertise. And I would give you examples. For example, anomaly detection. Gaussian mixture models. The moment you decide that there are these 3, 4, 5 characteristics of a machine, and we've used that, and then you assume that you can run it for a week, and you know that this is normal operation, it's very simple to have a very generic model of what is normal operation, and anything outside that would be considered an anomaly. Of course, it wouldn't tell you what is the problem, but you can get a flag. Also on social media. I think anomaly detection is the best example of generic type of approaches. Then if you don't have, because it requires a lot of expertise to work on these algorithms. It's not very simple, it's not traditional AI. But there is a very interesting, I cannot recall the name, if you search for, there's an MIT spin-off, and the thing they do is they automate the feature extraction, and they're very good at it. So you don't have to have any domain knowledge. However, probably on the background, maybe they have automated also this process as well. So you add semantics and like generic type of information to help you because it is a product. But even if you want to automate the feature extraction, it is possible. For example, deep learning, this is like a great approach. You don't have to say that this is the eye and the distance between the eyes and add the corners and edges. You just feed it data and it figures out, it tries to create knowledge out of the data. So, but don't expect something very generic. And there is also, if you bring these words of data administrators, data guys, database guys with AI, there's a lot of work on semantic AI and other approaches that they're trying to exploit this information. All the metadata and any semantic information in there can help you. But we're far away from just pressing a button and doing the thing. And also, we also need to have a job, right?
We all do. Thank you. Anyone else with a challenge for tonight? Our host.
Hello. Yeah, I have one challenge, but I actually have two examples where I'm challenged with that. So the challenge is actually as follows. I have a nice localization team with 7 people in it, and they do everyday translations of our products. So within our business, it's very important to stay relevant and to have new products going online every day. So we have around 65 people in our organization enriching new products to go online every day. Next to that, we have 7 people do localization, so they translate this in 7 different languages. There's a copywriter in that team who then looks for the tone of voice per brand. Now, wouldn't that be lovely to use artificial intelligence, because they're doing this every day on the same products actually in general. How can I apply, and this was actually what I was hoping with this type of events, to inspire, not expire, but inspire, our own people, because I see opportunities, but how do you bridge that? How do you go from, okay, constantly these people are doing the same type of job. There's also a place in the organization where you see a lot of throughput of people, because it's getting boring. Again, genes translated into 7 different languages. What would you advise? How to bridge that? To really have something in production that people go like, we can do something more exciting with our time.
All people shaking their head. No, you can't do that. Can you do that? You create data every day.
Yeah, he has a big data set.
Yeah.
You have a lot of translations.
Yeah. Well done.
I'll try to get my 2 cents here. So, well, the heart of AI is data, just like us, but then the thing is that we learn very fast because we have like lots of connections in our brain. But then like if you want to reach or to get something like that to work, so, well, data, so over there he said that, well, we have the translation, so then you just have to feed the system with data that is capable of translating. So that's what, well, she said like Google Translator said it's going to do it for you, but well, it's not going to work that fine. For example, ball.com, they say that for their business, so and then that's like narrow AI, very specific to ball.com business. So their translation mechanism works better than Google Translate. So then you need to put something in place to do this. So if you don't have data, so there are like people experimenting with generative models where you can actually, you do have some data and then you use that data in a sort of unsupervised way to feed a deep net and use that to actually have an adversarial to generate data based on whatever you feed. So it starts from noise, and from that noise it grows, and then it actually gets to create something based on the data that are expected to be created. So it's very common with image, like, and then you might see like a transfer learning a lot, but then also with text you can also do that. Text of like forecast data, and then you can just like generate stuff. But then again, it needs a team, and then it needs like an environment to run it, and it's not like a magic that's gonna pop up like a Lord of the Rings dwarf out of the ground and then just work. It's slightly different.
So So the question I have actually, that's the challenge I have, is like, how do I inspire it? So I have these people doing localization, translation every day, and they don't have any engineer in their team. So I explained the way you guys think I'm going to get there, and it was also very interesting when you said something about style. I think there's tone of voice in the translation is also sort of style. But how would you advise to actually get moving forward? Do I put a engineer out of the blue in the team, and what type of engineer? Or because normally they stay very siloed, like, oh, there are the engineers, here are the translators. And how do you do that?
The lady there, she wants to mention.
I don't think you need machine learning algorithms for this, because translations, you can find them everywhere online. You can just go and translate and type in the word and translate. You just need an engineer who needs to basically send some basic APIs of your words, automate this process, make a software, and then extract the sentences. I don't know, it depends. You can use various Google Translate services or other translate services from online.
But that's actually not working because there's a tone of voice. So we have multiple brands.
Then you need a
And we have a copywriter putting in every day manually saying, for this brand, it's a female brand, we pick these words, because he thinks about it and says these words really express our brand very well. It's hip, it's young, or it's slightly older and more sophisticated or whatever. That's the challenge. So the style, capturing the style. But still, I'm looking for how to get to the first step.
Well, you say like the information is going to be translated into approximately 7 languages. So what I can imagine is like for different languages, there's different culture and background out there. So for instance, like Asian cultures tend to be more modest and tend to be friendly and peace everything, and maybe the American culture is about passionate and about the like being young and being enthusiastic about things. I think like it could be very useful to build a database like, based on different languages, based on the location where products want to be sold. And because like you said, like approximately the same content is going to be written every day, so I think it's going to save you a lot of labor. You have like a template, and you can leave blanks in these templates with different choice to wording, and so based on different countries, different locations, different cultures, it's going to be different database like for promotion and stuff. So things can be like done like semi-manually or semi-AI. Like so we choose like first by the AI, and then like it's going to go through by a person like me, then like to see whether it's a proper word is chosen or something.
So for machine translation, you need to train your own LSTM if you want to do this correctly. It sounds like you have already a lot of data existing, and so with always a human in the loop process where you continuously train the model to become better. This is sort of how you would build a system like that, but this is like a highly specialized AI job, and you have to wonder whether or not you want to build that type of expertise in your organization. AI is, on this level, is still relatively fresh and new. It's still a specialized job. All the toolkits, it's out there, but you need to know where to find it. So it's still in the domain sort of a specialist. You can't sort of get this on a normal production level, I would say, because you have a specific question to your domain problem, which is creating unique product descriptions for the fashion domain across multiple countries. So you need to train your own model for this, and in order to do that, you need help.